Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 38 based on novel. So let's start. In a room of the ferry boat, there were exactly 10 people, no more or no less, and 10 people were sitting slowly. Hoodoo sat cross-legged, in the center, and around him, Xiao Yan, Yu, and other 9 favored sons who were led to Xian together, all sat cross-legged around Hoodoo. Xiao Yan and Yu sat down and looked at each other immediately, apparently not knowing what Hoodoo was going to tell them this time. Around Xiao Yan and Yu, the rest of the people were also at a loss, and immediately looked at Hoodoo with all eyes on them. According to the current speed of our ferry, within a month, we will be able to reach Xian. So some things have to be notified to you in advance, so as not to make a fool of yourself. Do you guys know about Xian? Hoodoo would warn them every time he invited people from various places to Xian. Although this was not a time when he had to do as a messenger, Hoodoo felt it was necessary. Let's talk about science with these guys who have never set foot in Xian before. Everyone shook their heads in unison. Hoodoo sighed. Obviously he already knew the result, so he was not surprised, and then said, Xianling continent is a quarter of the entire Dodi continent, although the Xianling continent is the largest in the Sifang continent. Weak point. But Xianling continent also has its proud heritage. That's Xian, a place that brings together the real peak powerhouses and sectarian forces on the Xianling continent. Xiao Yan also frowned when he heard the words. Obviously, Xian is likely to be a place where the Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon are located. After all, from the information that he knew before, how could he be weak if he could be close to the strong fighting immortals? The area above our Xianling continent is also vast. For example, there are countless places like your 7 major cities, which are far from what you can imagine. And all the sects in the Xian 3 days will send messengers to the Xianling continent every year. Enrollment in various places is for the sake of fresh blood, and it is also for the purpose of finding good seedlings for training. After all, our mysterious spirit continent has finished 5 times in a row in the quartet martial arts held every 50 years. Hoodoo also continued. What is Sifang Huewu? Xiao Yang also wondered. The so-called Sifang Huewu is the duel between the 4 continents on the Do-Di continent to determine the ranking. The level of this ranking determines the quite precious cultivation resources. Cough, these are still too far from you. What you have to do now is to join the sect first. Hoodoo also almost caught Xiao Yang's words, and hurriedly stopped. Everyone also nodded thoughtfully. Obviously, what the host said gave them some new understanding. Okay, then let's get down to business. Hoodoo also took a sip of the tea next to him and smiled. After talking for a long time, Hoodoo also felt thirsty, so he sipped a few sips of tea, glanced at the crowd, and then said slowly, I have to tell you, although you are the favored sons of heaven in the 7 cities, but I am the messenger who led you to Xian, but this does not mean that you can truly join the super sect within Xian. As soon as Hoodoo said these words, everyone's originally excited mood became silent. On the Xianling continent, for example, there are hundreds of thousands of places in your 7 major cities, and each place has a group of not weak heaven's favored sons, so those favored sons in other places will also be picked up by others. If so, there are thousands of people who want to join the super sect within the Xian 3 days. These people are like you, and they are the best in every place on the Xianling continent. So in order to cope with this situation, all the super sects in Xian have jointly formulated a rule for those of you who want to join the sect. After you arrive at Xian for 3 days, everyone will be registered with a series of physical strength, soul strength, physical strength, etc., and then they will be divided into 5 levels according to the comprehensive quality of these items. Hoodoo, after speaking, he paused for a while, obviously giving everyone a chance to react. When Xiao Yan heard this, he frowned. Obviously, there must be a reason for this to be divided into 5 levels. Feng Yi heard the words, and the silent crowd also said, Senior, is there any difference between these 5 grades? Naturally there is a difference. The 5th level is from 1 to 5, and the 5th level is the highest. Although these 5 levels will not give you any rewards, these 5 levels have a lot to do with the selection before you join the sect. Evaluation. The higher the level, the stronger its potential and the more attention it will receive from the super sect. Since the number of people who want to join the super sect every year is too large, so you people will have a selection before joining the super sect after reaching Xian Santian. On the one hand, it is to eliminate some people who are indiscriminately trying to fish in troubled waters, thereby greatly reducing the number of people. On the other hand, it is to select elites who are truly worthy of training. And these 5 levels are also directly related to the selection of you reaching Xian Santian, so don't hide it when you reach Xiantian inspection. Hudu also saw Xiao Yan's intentions. Concealing his own strength, he spoke. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also smiled helplessly. Joining a super sect is really not easy. The selection mode changes every year. Sometimes it's fighting, sometimes it's a point system, etc. It's different every year, but no matter which mode, the elimination rate is as high as half. That is to say, between you, half or more of the people will be eliminated. If you are eliminated, then you will lose the qualification to join the super sect, and you have to go back the same way. After Hudu finished speaking, the room became quiet. Everyone frowned slightly, apparently not expecting that the selection would be so strict. And after the selection, the top 10 will have extra rich rewards, and they can also choose to join the super sect, so you should work hard. Hudu also looked at a few people like a child. These 9 people among them, only Xiao Yang made him feel a little different. It seemed that he always felt that this kid would shine in the selection process. After all, the soul power of the Emperor realm is quite rare. But if you don't pass the selection, it is inevitable that some powerful sects will take a fancy to them and you can join their sects with reluctance, but this possibility is too small, unless you have special skills or special physiques. Hudu also looking at the berserker Sun Ming and Wang Zhong with great interest, it was obvious that this was what they were saying. The two also smiled lightly when they heard the words. Obviously they didn't take Hudu's words to heart, because they also knew that Hudu was also good for them, but the two also had their own pride. After all, if they couldn't even pass the selection, then what about joining a super sect? Everyone's heart is as if there is a big mountain suppressing them. In the room, as Hudu's previous voice fell, the originally harmonious atmosphere suddenly became much heavier. Because the 9 of them also know that in terms of cultivation resources, compared with other places in the 7 major cities in the border area of Xianling continent, they will only be weak and not strong. He is too powerful, so even if he is as strong as Xiao Yang, his face is tense and his eyes are a little uneasy. After all, the current strength of the 9 people present is also at the peak of Xiao Yang's 3-star Do Emperor. The other 8 people are all from the late stage of the 3-star Do Emperor or at the peak of the 3-star Do Emperor. Among the younger generation in the 7 major cities, they can indeed be regarded as the best, but after going to Xiantian 3 days, their competitors are also the best in various places on the Xianling continent. The border areas are lacking in resources, the local arrogance is also much stronger than them, so the city lords of the 7 major cities are also strongly in favor of sending their children to Xiantian to cultivate in order to obtain better opportunities and resources. The 9 of them left the 7 major cities and went to the holy land of cultivation that countless people dreamed of on the Xianling continent. The people in the family have high hopes for them. If they can't join any sect, then they will be treated to them by themselves. It is also a huge blow to their self-esteem, and it will obviously be a huge blow to their self-esteem. After all, each of them is the next successor in the 7 major cities. If they can't join the sect, their prestige in the family will be greatly reduced, which will lead to certain obstacles in inheriting the father's business in the future. Hudu glanced at the 9 people, but didn't say anything to comfort them, because there are countless people on the Xianling continent, not to mention that the selection of disciples of the super sects within the Xiantian 3 days is also extremely strict. Not everyone can succeed in the end. Join it, so naturally some people are happy and some cry in between. Therefore, Hudu did not offer too much comfort. This kind of thing has to be realized by the person concerned. Everyone was silent for a while, and then their eyes shone with dazzling brilliance again. Obviously, even Hudu's words did not shock them. After all, they still have to walk their own way in the future. They are the proud of the 7 cities, but they are not necessarily afraid of the proud of other places. Seeing this, Hudu also nodded with satisfaction. If the few of them couldn't even accept this small blow, they should go back as soon as possible, lest they would only be shamed if they went to Xian Santian. Okay, since there's nothing else to do, go down and rest. You remember to adjust your peak state this month. Hudu also said. Well. Everyone also said. The ferry boat was driving steadily and rapidly from the black space passage. It was not long after Hudu's words were over. On the second floor of the boat, there were several figures sitting around the wine table. It was Xiao Yan, Yueru, Feng Yihe, Wang Zhong, Liu Yin, Sun Ming, and the enchanting 7 people. As for Mueller and the living dead, the 7 people present didn't like to see them very much, not to mention that the relationship between the 2 of them and Xiao Yang was deadlocked, so naturally it was impossible to call them. Originally, Xiao Yang only called Wang Zhong and Sun Ming. After all, he was too impressed with these 2. One is the sword idiot Wang Zhong, who is comprehending the meaning of swords and mainly cultivates the meaning of swords, and the other is Sun Ming, a berserker who cultivates the flesh. Liu Yin was obviously very curious about the fire spirit on Xiao Yang's body, so she would definitely not miss this opportunity, so she followed, but the fire spirit fell into a deep sleep, so she had no choice but to do it. As for Feng Yi and Yao Mai, they seemed to have a good relationship. As soon as they saw Liu Yin's movement, they hurriedly followed, for fear of missing something, so there was a scene where the 7 gathered. Originally, Xiao Yang also thought that before Xian Santian arrived and everyone had not gone their separate ways to get together, firstly, it was for many friends. Xian Qianqian knew very little. Seeing how Wang Zhong and the others were hesitating to speak just now, it was obvious that he knew something. Wang Zhong and the others also understood Xiao Yang's intentions, and they arrived as promised. After all, the Xiao Yang in front of him did not say anything else, just that light can obtain the great fortune in the ruins, which can show that his strength is terrible, and there is another most important thing. Reason. Xiao Yang is now a first-rank emperor-rank pharmacist. Even their 3-star Do D strong are willing to make friends with such identities. The 7 people sat around the wine table. Obviously, they also knew that no matter what reputation and title they had in the 7 cities in the past, they all understood that when they arrived at Xian for 3 days, they would all fade away. The road of cultivation and the road in the future must be taken by themselves, and no one knows whether they will climb to the top again or return to the ordinary. Therefore, it was the first time that the 7 of them went out such a long way, and they gathered together immediately. One was to solve the boredom on the way, and the other was to make friends. After all, when you go out, there are many friends and many ways to go. In the future, 2 good mutual help. The 4 girls chuckled and discussed some topics exclusive to girls. Apparently because of their current age, they were also quite homesick. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also smiled slightly, then picked up the wine glass and smiled at Wang Zhong, who was beside him. I have long heard that Brother Wang's sword intent is very pure, and when he saw it in the ruins that day, it was extremely tyrannical. In the ruins of the Warcraft Mountains, Xiao Yang also clearly remembered the giant sword used by Wang Zhong. He was alone against a guardian of the peak of the 3-star Do Di. Xiao Yang was really surprised, and the mark on Wang Zhong's forehead was removed. Strength is also capable of bursting out extremely powerful forces in a short period of time. Brother Xiao passed the prize. After Wang Zhong finished speaking, he also toasted. Obviously, this Wang Zhong is also obsessed with sword intent, and he is quite numb when it comes to personal affairs. Xiao Yang also smiled understandingly and didn't say anything, because he also knew that although this Wang Zhong was taciturn, if he really fought it seems that no one dares to underestimate it. Wang Zhong raised his head to look at Xiao Yang with his black cloth wrapped around his forehead, and also raised his glass and drank it. I can feel that you are a rare opponent, so I hope I will have the opportunity in the future. Let me try my sword well. Xiao Yang smiled and said cheerfully, I will accompany you at any time. Then Zai raised his glass tilde and chatted with Sun Ming for a while. After a while, Xiao Yang looked at several people with a smile on his face. In fact, he knew that everyone had already heard from the envoy of Hudu about the challenges that will be faced in the future, so they all felt a little pressure. Xiao Yang raised his wine glass, looked at everyone, was silent for a moment, smiled and said, "Everyone, we are also friends who have fought side by side, although our 7 major cities are only a small place compared to Swantianshan, but the starting point cannot determine a person's ending point, so when we stand at the top of the younger generation in this Xianling continent one day in the future, they will know how amazing our small 7 cities are. Everyone, I hope to see you again at the height of Nashuan 3 days. I'll do it first as a respect." After Xiao Yan finished speaking, there was also a strong desire for war in his eyes. Obviously, Hudu's words aroused the passion in his heart. Yueru also looked at Xiao Yang in a daze. Obviously Xiao Yang exuded a different kind of charm at this time. Feng Yi was also attracted by Xiao Yang's words, and looked at the latter with interest. As for Yao Mai and Liu Yin, they also looked at several people in the arena together. Wang Zhong and Sun Ming also heard Xiao Yang's words, and immediately felt the blood in their bodies boiling slightly, then raised their wine glasses and collided heavily. "Ha ha, so let's compare and see how many of us can be famous for 3 days after a few years. The update will start tomorrow, and strive to complete the 9th update by the end of this month." On the top floor of the ferry boat, Hudu's eyes were all swept to the 2nd floor of the boat below. Obviously, their belongings were also discovered, but Hudu did not stop them too much. It can be regarded as a way for young people to relieve their worries. Immediately, he injected a trace of vindictiveness into the ferry boat, and then continued to close his eyes. In a room not far away, Mueller also noticed the movements of several people, then his eyes were cold, and the corners of his mouth raised a touch of sarcasm and contempt. "It's really a bunch of idiots who don't know what to do. After you arrive at Xiansansan, you will know how ridiculous your agreement today is after you have met the real heroes of the sky. Xiao Yang, don't worry, if you kill Wucheng, the people of that force will definitely not let you go, and you will feel better when the time comes. But I really have to thank you. If you hadn't killed Wucheng, they wouldn't have increased my training." The living dead also noticed the movements of several people, but also ignored them and continued to close their eyes and rest. After 3 rounds of drinking, everyone was not at all intoxicated. "I wonder if everyone has any information about Xian Santian?" Xiao Yan also felt the need to ask. Hey, you've asked the right person." Wang Zhong also laughed. "Before I went out, my master told me about some super sects within the 3 days of Xian. Zhuangtianshan is a land with a very high concentration of fighting qi, with a radius of 10,000 miles. On this land, there are 9 super sects on the bright side. Of course, there are more or less sects that are not above the rankings. Some hidden sects are also excluded." "Oh, what about the 9 super sects?" Xiao Yang also looked at Wang Zhong with great interest, and when a few people next to him heard the words, they also turned their attention to Wang Zhong. Although Xiao Yang had previously heard Qing Yuan say that the powers on the Xianling continent can basically be divided into 1 country, 2 pavilions, 3 valleys and 4 sects, but Wang Zhong certainly did not explain it carefully, so he listened to Wang Zhong's words attentively. As we all know, our Xianling continent is divided into 2 major races, humans and monsters. Our human forces are roughly divided into 1 country, 2 pavilions, 3 valleys and 4 sects. Of course, there are some equally powerful forces that few people know about. In the Xianling continent, the real peak powerhouses and sects are gathered on the fertile land of Xuansanshan, and the Xianling royal family is not included. After all, they are the representatives of our Xianling continent. The real super sects within Xian Santian are divided into 9 super sects. They are Burning Incense Pavilion, Wanhua Pavilion, Ancient Desolate Palace, Purgatory Hall, Solomon, Puppet Palace, Pill Valley, Heartless Palace, Wanjianmen 9 super sects. Wang Zhong also said slowly. Everyone frowned when they heard this. Obviously, it was the first time they heard about the distribution of Xuantian's forces. Isn't the division of forces on the Xianling continent 1 country, 2 pavilions, 3 valleys and 4 sects? Why are some forces not included in the super sect? Xiao Yang was also an outsider, and he didn't know much about Xianling continent and Xiantian Santian. You must also know that Fenxiang Pavilion and Wanhua Pavilion. The Fenxiang Pavilion is very strict in accepting apprentices. It only accepts people with fire attributes, and they must be men. There is no woman in the pavilion. It seems that the yang is prosperous and the yin is declining. It is not so harsh, but it is also opposed to the Fenxiang pavilion. Wanhua only accepts women. It is rumored that the owner of the Wanhua pavilion and the owner of the Fenxiang pavilion have a marriage relationship. Created one of the two most powerful forces in the Xianling continent. And one country, 2 pavilions, 3 valleys and 4 sects, except for one country, that is, the power of the Xianling royal family. All the powerful forces are also stationed in Xiantian, and they are not included in the 9 super sects, just to show that they are with the world. There is no dispute, but after we go to Xiantian for selection, we can join any sect. It's just that these 9 super sects are famous in Xiantian Santian. Feng Yi explained slowly to Xiao Yang. So that's the case. Xiao Yang was relieved. After all, he just thought that the 3 valleys of Pill Valley, Nightmare Valley and Astrology Valley, as well as the 4 sects with Heritage, Poison Sect, Sword God Sect, Ming Sect, and Solomon are not in Shenyuan. Within 3 days. Now I heard Feng Yi explain, it turned out that these sects were a little low-key, so they didn't care about the ranking. What Feng Guliang said is very true. Wang Zhong also laughed. Hearing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help but feel a little moved. For him, among the 9 super sects, apart from Fenxiang Pavilion, Solomon and Wanhua Pavilion, the rest of the sects were the first to hear about them. So it seems a little confused. Feng Yi has already introduced the Fenxiang Pavilion and Wanhua Pavilion, so Wang Zhong also continued. The Ancient Desolate Hall is one of the top super sects in Xiantian Santian. It is quite strict in accepting disciples. Although the powerhouses in the hall are not very good at using Do Qi, they are all known for their physical tyranny. It also needs tyrannical strength, and it is rumored that the palace master will retreat with the full force of the physical body against the strong fighting immortals. There is a legend in the ancient desolate temple that there is a mysterious fighting skill called Eight Duanjia. This fighting skill must be used in conjunction with the special exercises and tyrannical flesh in the temple. Propelling this fighting skill can instantly burst out shocking power. Berserker Sun Ming also grinned. Obviously, this time he went to Xiantian Santian to go to this ancient desolate palace. If he can acquire this fighting skill, his future can be said to be limitless. Eight Duanjia? It's really the first physical fighting skill I have ever seen, but if the 8 doors are fully opened, it will consume too much vitality, and a careless loss will also be lost, but I have to say that this fighting skill is really strong. Xiao Yang also heard the voice of his master Golden Dragon King in his mind. Xiao Yang was also a little surprised by this, because of the existence of Hoodoo, his own master Golden Dragon King appeared less often. After all, if it is discovered, it is inevitable that someone will conspire, so it is better to be careful. However, it is enough to make his master Jin Longwang, who has always been a master of the art, praise this Eight Duanjia, which is enough to show its tyranny. If there is a chance, I really want to practice. Xiao Yang heard that Wang Zhong finished speaking, but also slowly whispered, after all, the physical body is indestructible, and this alone is enough to make countless people jealous. Cut, don't think about it. Although this fighting technique is very powerful, it is not suitable for you. You must know that this fighting technique can devour life force in exchange for powerful strength. As soon as the 8 gates are opened, although enough power to turn the tide of the battle can burst out in an instant, it's not far from death, so don't mess with this kind of thing, kid. The Golden Dragon King also found that Hoodoo was in control of the ferry, and then also don't worry, you can spread some things to Xiao Yang. Otherwise, with Xiao Yang's current situation, if it is rumored that this Xiao Yang is his disciple, it will not be a shame. Tuosha's disciple should also be regarded as his own disciple. The Golden Dragon King thought so. Xiao Yang naturally did not know what his master Jin Long King was thinking at this time, so he kept silent and continued to listen to Wang Zhong. Purgatory Hall, this is the most unique of the 9 major sects, because this sect does not use normal cultivation fighting spirit, but walks on the tip of the knife all the year round, specializing in hunting demons. It can be said that it is walking. A sect on the edge of life and death. However, that's what gives the Purgatory Hall its illustrious reputation. After all, a sect that specializes in eliminating evil races from outside the realm has won the approval and respect of countless people, so this purgatory hall is also occupied by most of the Xiantian 3 days. Respected by people. It is rumored that there are many superb techniques and skills in the purgatory hall. With the concealment, assassination, lurking and many other means they have practiced, they can kill the demons invisibly, but whether it is true or not is unknown. Zhong also said with some respect, after all, the harm that this extraterritorial evil clan has brought to the world is obvious to all. When Xiao Yan heard this, he was also secretly amazed. After all, a sect that exists exclusively to hunt and kill foreign evil races is enough to win the respect of countless people. What this kid said is not false. This purgatory hall really exists to hunt and kill foreign evil races, so if it is to deal with foreign evil races, this sect is unique even on the Do-Di continent. If there is a chance in the future, I'd better get in touch with it, so as to learn some methods of hunting and killing foreign evil races. The Golden Dragon King also said. Ian. Xiao Yan also responded in his heart. Solomon, this sect used to be a sect that didn't pay attention to the 3 days of Xian, but I don't know why, since Solomon changed his controller. In the past 100 years, Solomon, who has always been known for being low-key, has also begun to raise a high profile, thus making one move in one fell swoop. Rushed into the 9 super sects. But this is the case. The news of this sect is too rare. Ordinary people only know the name of this sect, and others don't know it. Wang Zhong also pondered. As far as I know, Solomon seems to be collecting strange people from all over the world, and there is no threshold for joining this sect. It is the one with the lowest threshold and the largest number of people among the 9 super sects, so even if your talent is average, you can join it, it's just. Yao Mai also opened her lips slightly. Just what? Wang Zhong also asked. It's just that the reputation of this sect is not very good. Yao Mai also said in a humming tone. How do you say this? Wang Zhong was also at a loss. Hearing this, several people also turned their attention to the demon. I just heard that this sect often does some cruel things. And this Solomon has the worst reputation in the 3 days of Xian. Yao Mai also explained. It is enough to make the always enchanting monster speak cruel words solemnly, and it is enough to see the poor reputation of Solomon. Well, that's true. Although this sect is relatively low-key, it is true that it has a bad reputation. Wang Zhong also responded. Solomon? It's really a disgusting sect. The Golden Dragon King's voice suddenly increased a bit, making Xiao Yang's soul tremble. There was obviously some resentment and other emotions in the voice of his master, the Golden Dragon King, which obviously did not escape Xiao Yang's eyes. You will know about the excess later, but you should stay away from this Solomon. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also echoed in Xiao Yang's mind. Hearing this, Xiao Yang also looked thoughtful. From the huge ghost he met before, to the people from Wucheng, the mysterious rune on Wu Huan and the people of the soul race, there was obviously some connection. Puppet Mansion, this sect is also quite special, because their fighting methods are different from the general ones. Ordinary people also use fighting spirit as the main tune, but the Puppet Mansion, as its name suggests, is to control puppets to fight. Although the strength of the manipulator itself may be mediocre, the sect of puppet art can be studied very much, and through some special techniques the method creates a powerful puppet, and controls the puppet to perform a series of actions such as attacking and defending, and its power is also not to be underestimated. And it is said that the puppets made by the Puppet Mansion are quite tyrannical, and can basically attack, defend, and even self-destruct like humans. It's just that the materials needed to make more and more powerful puppets are too precious, and it is not a last resort. They are reluctant to blow themselves up. After all, puppets can be regarded as their second life. Wang Zhong continued. Hey, the people in this Puppet Mansion are quite good at manipulating puppets. I was fortunate enough to meet a man from the Puppet Mansion and fight him before. Sun Ming also grinned. What's the result? Liu Yin also asked while stroking Xiao Han on her shoulder. It's a tie. Sun Ming also said. These simple words reveal a huge amount of information. First of all, not to mention why Sun Ming met the people of the Puppet Mansion. Dang Dang is able to fight with the people of the Puppet Mansion, which is enough to show the strength of Sun Ming. Pill Valley, this is a very powerful sect. Although it is not as strong as other sects, the number of alchemists in this sect is huge, and the number of high-level pharmacists is also quite large. In terms of strength, this Pill Valley may not be ranked among the 9 super sects within the Xiantian 3 days, but don't forget that the alchemist is known as the most annoying hornet's nest. If you fight with the pharmacist, there is no kill him, then you will be waiting for your revenge. After all, a high-level alchemist is very attractive. You read, Wang Zhong said to Xiao Yan. Putting in envious eyes, after all, there is not anyone in this continent who does not want to become a pharmacist, but the threshold for refining pharmacists is too high, so many people are missed. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also smiled slightly and didn't say much. The Heartless Palace, it is said that this sect is the sect with the smallest number in Xian Santian, because the number of disciples in this sect, apart from those elders, should be only a few. The Heartless Palace only accepts women, and you must cut off your affection before you can enter this sect. Once you enter the sect, you will not look back in this life. It is rumored that the palace motto of the Ruthless Palace is, kill all the unfeeling people in the world. Wang Zhong also said with a hint of insight. It's so hard to forget one's feelings. Xiao Yang also sighed. After all, women who joined this sect were also hurt by their feelings, so they joined the sect when they had no choice but to cut off the 7 emotions and 6 desires. What about the last one? Liu Yin also asked. Wan Jianmen, the retreat of swordsmen on the Xianling continent, there are countless powerful swordsmen from this sect. That Jinzong is a sect separated from Wan Jianmen, and the sect master of Jinzong is also one of the strongest in Wan Jianmen. At the same time, Wan Jianmen is also well-deserved number 1 among the 9 super sects. Xian Santian will be as big as the Xianling royal family. Wang Zhong's brief introduction shocked everyone. Hearing this, everyone frowned slightly. Obviously, Wan Jianmen was the head of the 9 super sects in the Xiantian 3 days and was a little surprised. Don't be surprised, this Wan Jianmen acted upright and did nothing sneaky, so the leader of the 9 super sects is also worthy of the name. Wang Zhong also tried his best to say, obviously between Wan Jianmen and Jinzong, Wang Zhong is obviously wanting to join Wan Jianmen. After all, this is a giant-like force in Xiantian 3 days. Compared with Jinzong, it is also much stronger, and its cultivation resources and experience will be much more. The huge information was also slowly surrounding everyone for a while. Obviously, they could not accept so many sects in a short period of time, so everyone also had to plan for their own sects. Since that's the case, I wish you all the best of luck. Xiao Yang also said when he saw that everyone was absent-minded. When everyone heard the words, they also left one after another and walked towards their room. Obviously, the information had to be digested, and they decided to join that sect. And he has to work hard to restore his peak moment to cope with the mysterious selection of Xian Santian. After several people left, Xiao Yang also got up to go back to his residence, but found that Yu had not left. Yu Guliang, do you have anything else to do? Xiao Yang also said, obviously after Yu's entrustment, if he could help Yu, Xiao Yang would not delay. After all, when he was in Qingcheng, he received a lot of care from Yu. It's nothing. I heard before I came here that Wucheng, Mu family and Solomon seem to have some connection, so you must not join Solomon when you arrive at Xian Santian, be careful. Yu also said softly. Well, I see. Go down and have a rest. If you have anything, call me at any time. I'll live opposite you. Xiao Yang also responded. Yeah. Yu replied softly and walked towards her room. I hope it will be better when Xian joins the sect. After all, we... Xiao Yang looked at Yu who was far away, then shook his head and said. After clearing the wine table a little, Xiao Yang also returned to his room, and then the huge soul force also placed a restriction in the room in order to isolate others from exploration. After all, when you're out and about, it's always right to be careful. Cross-legged on the bed, closed his eyes to adjust the breath in his body. Originally, because of the fusion of the power of the original fire in the 22 middle schools and the soul avatar in Wucheng, the weak soul power is slowly recovering towards the peak. The Golden Dragon King also saw that Xiao Yang had placed a restraint on his soul, so he also floated in the room with confidence. Watching Xiao Yang conditioning his soul power, he hesitated, but did not disturb Xiao Yang. He sat down quietly and waited for Xiao Yang conditioning is complete. Xiao Yang also closed his eyes and rested his mind. On the one hand, he adjusted the soul power in his body wholeheartedly, and on the other hand, he carefully felt the changes in his body. If the soul power at his peak is an ocean, then the soul power after the injury is also depleted by most, but fortunately, Xiao Yang also has medicinal materials to heal the soul power, so the soul power is also recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Right. The other place separated from the soul realm is the Do Formation Master Scroll obtained from the ruins. The inscription called Shenmo is also hanging in Xiao Yang's Gong pill. Xiao Yang's careful feeling, it seems that the spiritual world that originally contained the Shendong natal inscription, which was originally the size of the thumb, seemed to have expanded several times in the past few days. This astonishing discovery made Xiao Yang also do it. You must know that before the Shendong natal inscription entered the body, Xiao Yang's soul realm was huge and unparalleled, but after the Shendong natal inscription entered the body, Xiao Yang's soul realm was compressed by half. Soul power and spiritual power each occupy half of the space. At first, Xiao Yang was worried that if his soul realm was suddenly divided into two parts, it would hurt the soul power he finally cultivated, but now Xiao Yang knows it. The power of the soul is not only unharmed, but also becomes more and more solid under the division of the inscription of spirit movement. The current Xiao Yang, the soul power is not just promoted to the Emperor Realm mortal level. If it is the soul power that has just been promoted to the early Emperor Realm mortal level, then after the division of the soul realm after the magic movement natal inscription, Xiao Yang's soul power is said to have reached the middle stage of the Emperor Realm. Why doesn't this make Xiao Yang excited? After all, the cultivation methods of soul power are too rare. Moreover, Xiao Yang also discovered that the spiritual power in his body was also increasing at a snail-like speed. This was the power of the spiritual movement natal inscription, which was enough to show that the inscription was extraordinary. Aware of this, on Xiao Yang's finger, a white scroll dedicated to battle formation masters also appeared. Then Xiao Yang activated Nigongwen's magic movement natal inscription in his body, and controlled the negligible mental power to go towards the white scroll. 100 ways. 200 ways. 300 ways. When the number of inscriptions before the white scroll reached 350, it stopped growing. At this time, Xiao Yang's forehead was also dripping with sweat, dripping with big drops. Wiped his sweat, then felt the power on the white scroll. This power is barely enough to deal with a 2-star Do Emperor, but it's not enough to deal with a 3-star Do Emperor, let alone a 4-star Do Emperor. Even so, Xiao Yang did not feel discouraged at all. It disappeared without mentioning it and immediately had to put down the spiritual power and the battle formation master first. Then he also carefully felt his body, and the avatar of the avatar technique was also lying quietly in his soul realm. Come out. Following Xiao Yang's order, the avatar lying in the soul realm also appeared out of thin air, slightly opening the tightly closed eyes to look at Xiao Yang, as if waiting for Xiao Yang's order. Go back. Seeing that this avatar is so obedient, I nodded with satisfaction. After all, this avatar is controlled by Xiao Yang, which is absolutely safe, and then said to the avatar. Then when he closed his eyes, the huge soul force also condensed a figure exactly like Xiao Yang and appeared in front of Xiao Yang. The two Xiao Yang looked at each other, then clasped their fists one after another. Xiao Yang also looked at the avatar condensed by his Emperor Realm mortal soul power, and sighed. Sure enough, the soul power is injured, and the avatar condensed by the teaching will also be affected. The avatar that Xiao Yang condensed is now only the strength of the middle stage of the 3-star Do D. The physical avatar condensed by soul power is better than the avatar condensed by the avatar technique in terms of tacit understanding and cooperation, but the advantages and disadvantages of the two are also obvious. The physical avatar is condensed by the power of the soul. Unless the power of the soul exceeds that of oneself, it is difficult to distinguish who is the main body, but the most deadly thing is that both are prosperous. Although the clones cultivated by the clone technique have the same aura and strength as Xiao Yang, They have no control over Xiao Yan's own powerful fighting skills, and can only play a role in seducing the enemy. Xiao Yan still remembers what his master, the Golden Dragon King, said, that holy flame and the method of cultivating spiritual power will be available in Xian Santian. Immediately, he also quit the cultivation state, and then looked to the side of his master, the Golden Dragon King. This video will end here.